Hey, welcome back to Aaron's 1972 Datsun 510, or really any Datsun with a Datsun transmission, because today we're going to be making some shift knobs. First, I'm going to 3D print them, then I'm going to show you how I did the insets here, and then I'm going to go ahead and walk you through all the steps of where I use my cordless drill as a lathe to smooth them out and get these ready to go. I am happy with the way they turned out. They're not perfect by a long shot, but I think they're an interesting touch that could really just sort of set your car apart. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but let's go ahead and get into it, and we will talk about everything as we move forward. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do in this video is I am going to go into Fusion 360 and walk you around some of the design choices I made going up into this shift knob. I based it on the original shift knob that has seen way better days. It might be around here somewhere. I'm not going to find it. It's seen way better days, but it's set as an inset and then a wraparound, and I figured, hey, I could do that with my 3D printer. So I decided to give it a try. Some things to note. The threads on the bottom of these are M8 with a pitch of 1.25. So as you're working through that stuff, Fusion 360 has an ability to put in those threads automatically, so you don't have to do any kind of calculations on that, so that's really nice. But yeah, let's go ahead and walk through that.
Hello and welcome back to Aaron's Digital Garage. Today I'm going to be taking this shift knob and I'm going to be turning it into a wicked cool 3D printed shift knob. So follow along as I take this threaded rod right here and place it into this shift knob right there, which is loosely based on the old Datsun shift knob. So the next step along the way was to place the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and reverse signs into the shift knob itself. Now you'll notice that these are cut out of grooves, but because I've cut them out of grooves, I also need to do an inset, which you see over here. There was quite a bit of playing around with the different sizes to make for sure that the offset was good enough to place them into the shift knob itself. Trying to figure out how exactly to print these things, only to be reminded that, oh yeah, I actually have to sort of mirror these. So lots of switching and changing on stuff, but that's not all I wanted to do. So there's my mirrored deal, right? So once I got that figured out, I went ahead and was like, cool, I can go ahead and print that out on the 3D printer. But I was like, you know what? I'm doing some other stuff. I'm going out to Route 66 JDM. So I went ahead and figured out how I could put JDM 66 into a shift knob. So you see that's what I did there. Notice I haven't put the threaded holes in there, but yeah, so I got all that done and then went ahead and went through a few more steps with different things. Let's go ahead and head on over to the 3D printer and see how it turned out.
All right, once I got those done, I went ahead and printed the critical pieces that I wanted to try out. So that would have been the insets the first time, as well as the top, just the top bubbles. And so I'll show you sort of how that looked. What I found was I forgot to ensure that this minimum distance between this H pattern and this number was far enough that the nozzle could cover. And so it ended up not allowing me, or not doing that, and so I had to go back in and fix some of that stuff. Okay, so now that the shift knob is off of the 3D printer, the casting or the printing of the threads is okay, but it's not really as good as it could be, and it doesn't slide on or doesn't rotate onto the stick shift as well as I would like it to. M8 with 1.25 pitch, which is the same as the threads on the Datsun stick shifts. So once you've got that done, you can go ahead and screw in and then unscrew, and that will go ahead and bring out quite a bit of plastic. I have this sacrificial bolt that I'm going to cut the head off of, so that way I can turn my cordless drill into a little bit of a mini lathe. But before I do that, I'll just show you that this just screws right in. And if you don't bottom out your tap, it will also allow the plastic that isn't maybe as well formed by the 3D printer to actually act as the catch whenever you're screwing this into the stick shift. So it'll allow it to rotate to the location where you want it to rotate to. So like that. And then now I'm going to go ahead and cut this head off this bolt, and I'm going to use this cordless drill to then smooth these out. But let's go ahead and cut the head off this. If you have stock that maybe already works for this, you don't have to do this, but I had to do this, so now we'll move to it. So the way that I design these insets is that I have them mirrored here, just with a nice, 2 or 0.2, whatever the layer height is, initial thing. So that way they all stay together in the exact same spot, and then I can just go like this. So go ahead and slide them in like so. Maybe. I haven't actually slid these ones in yet, so I don't know if they actually will work. But I should. Like the 5's not wanting to go in, that's fine. We'll go ahead and take it off like that. And then we'll go like this and slide that in. So they're all going to go into their spots like so. And then I will just sand off that top portion of them. That is how they go. Now I could have just printed them out individually, but I didn't want to lose them, and I felt like taking them off the bed, I would probably end up losing some of them as they came off the machine. So I felt like this was going to be a better option. We'll see whether it is or not. I can already tell you that's going to require additional sanding to get rid of all of these. So I don't know. It might not be worth it in the long run to do it that way. But so now we'll go ahead and drop in a little bit of glue into each of these holes, and then we will drop the numbers into them as well. Notice I also have one for the Route 66 JDM that I'm working on as well. I'll do that one second. Let's go ahead and cut out and glue. So now that I have this on the glue set or setting, you can see as I spin it, it's much like a lathe, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take progressively more and more fine sandpaper, and I'm going to smooth this down so you don't see the edge lines. We'll see how it works. I've already attempted one of these yesterday, and it turned pretty well and looked really good, but I didn't have these numbers in it, so we'll see how that works. Again, so I'll start with 80 grit to knock down this big stuff here. Then I'll move to 120, 240, and then I've got some 500, some 1000, and I'll finally finish off with 1200 grit. So that's what we're going to start working on, and the goal is to get it a very smooth finish that doesn't look like it's been 3D printed. It is far from perfect. We've got a little bit of lifting of some of these pieces here. I'm going to go ahead and like matte clear coat it, but I still think it's really cool. The layer lines are almost invisible here. I left the bottom pretty much untouched, but just look at the detail layer line stuff that is different between the two. I got to figure out a better way. Like that takes too long to sand that down. I might heat up a razor blade and cut real quick just at an angle and see if I can remove most of the excess up here before I start this one. But I'm happy. That looks really cool, I think. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. This is one that I'm definitely proud of. Very easy to read and actually reflects how many
forward gears I have.
It's about the same weight as the original. You could do 100% infill. It would take longer to print. I think that would also work pretty well too. So, and then you would have a heavier shift knob. Another neat thing that you could do is you could put inlays or insets here along the sides as well if you wanted to, where, assuming this is going to be straightforward, you could have like your name or something right here that you could lay into these, which I think would be pretty cool. I'm going to put this file up on the internet. The JDM 66 I'm not going to put up on the internet. If you want to reach out to me and ask me about maybe getting one, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to sell these. I'm going to make this one for myself and then one more for a car show that I'm going to, that I probably already went to by the time I make this video. But yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. It's not perfect, but it's pretty awesome.
So I first started with a hacksaw and it worked okay, and then I went and got a razor blade out, and that actually went really well. I just used the sharp side of it and let the lathe do most of the work to sort of take off the excess. Once I got most of that off, I went to the 80 grit sandpaper and then up to the 120 and just kept stepping it up so that way I can get a nice smooth finish. By the way, I've been using this shift knob for over a year now, and it's working really well.
So there we go. I decided that I would try to add a few sort of lines here along the side. That's not a great idea if you can't keep your hand super steady, so I've got some scratches in here that probably wouldn't do if I did it again. But there's my first two shift knobs. Again, not perfect, not as happy with the way they turned out as I was hoping to be, but I still think they look pretty dang cool. So I would consider this a win. Definitely two cool shift knobs that I can use myself, and this one will be online if you'd like to use it for yourself. But tell me what you think. Hey guys, this is the end of this video. Actually, no it won't. We're gonna go install it in the car. That'll be the last part. First I'm gonna do a turn the opposite direction on this to see if I can get the pieces to sort of smooth out in the opposite direction. So screw this on. We're going to keep it at a high. And just like that, I have a new shift knob that reflects the 5-speed transmission that I have. But if I want to, I also have a different shift knob that I think looks really pretty cool. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you want to make yourself one of these, go ahead and let me know. The 5-speed pattern will be down in the Thingiverse link below.